Airing the live stream. Don't open it. Please don't open it. I want it to be real views. I don't airing the live stream. Don't open it. Please don't open it. I want it to be real views. I don't
This is the
airing the live
second time that something was said
don't
that it got repeated exactly. You just did it, or your computer just did it, or whatever, and then
it
it happened to me.
it didn't okay. I started the live stream and it took us to this page and I don't know if you
And it
noticed,
keeps
I just mute,
restarting it and restarting it and restarting it.
huh? What are you talking
I
about?
see
Restarting and
one,
restarting?
two, three, four, five, at
I,
least
I,
five of the same
I,
page.
you're talking about on my screen.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know why.
I just got a notification on my phone. Yes,
Of
I
what?
confirm that you said don't open it.
I am, I
That's
am
really cool.
confused by what you're saying. I don't know. You got a notification on your phone. What was the notification?
That GPT Live just started a stream?
Oh, okay. We didn't say that. You just said it. I just got a note, and then what was this? What did you said after that? So you said yes. I got something about.
I confirm that I heard you when you said don't open it.
Okay, all right.
What is
Yeah,
going on right now?
I
This is
don't
like a bad
know.
trip.
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. First of all, I don't know why it brings me to this screen. I would rather it didn't. Okay, first I'm gonna take this off for a second. Well, I don't know why it brings me to this screen. I would rather it didn't. See, that's just repeating what I just said because of the time delay, because of the latency. Anyway, um, all right. Well, we can edit that. We can edit that later and take out this beginning part. But we're live streaming now, and we've been talking about um, Star Wars and Star Trek, and we kind of jumped down some rabbit holes about this, about the both series, and this is what started our conversation. We'll go back up to the top here, and Mike and I had recently discussed the episode of Star Trek season. The start. This is TNG, the Next Generation, season 6, episode 20, um, called the Chase. And so, well, let's just, who were Odo's people? I think I must have had a different one as well. Let's go down here. Oh, for Pete's sake. Odo's people, traction control. Or maybe, I don't know. But the first, it looks like the first question, who were Odo's people? Because in the episode The Chase, the progenitor that they in the end of that episode when they finally meet the entity, you know that is a holograph, I guess, hologram, of
Spoiler
this.
alert, if you want to don't want to know how this episode of
Yeah, spoiler alert. Well, this is episode. If people haven't seen this by now, that's their fault. Okay, if any Star Trek fans out there haven't seen this episode, you know, then that's their fault because it's been gone.
I
It's been here and
disagree.
gone.
I disagree because up until a couple days ago, I don't think I've seen this episode, and I've
Okay,
watched
all
the entire
right, all right.
series more
Spoiler
than a couple
alert!
times.
Spoiler alert! They
Mm-mm.
they 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 they, uh, they tracked down the origin of the species of several of the humanoid races, and the people that race was called the progenitors, and they're now extinct. So anyway, but what they had, the physical representation of this entity was looked like Odo. It looked so much like Odo to me that I didn't realize there were any differences. Mike pointed out to me that there actually were, which we haven't compared pictures on yet to see what the differences are. But we started down this rabbit hole of you know yeah they are a species in the Gamma Quadrant, and they were known as changelings, also known by the founders. And the next question we asked was, were the founders the same race as the ones who seeded the universe in TNG season six? Right. So then it says no. The founders, the founders, and the hang on a second here. Got Face ID. I hate this up there. The founders um, were changelings, and the ancient humanoids. Let's see, what did they call them?
Unnamed.
Progenitor. Well, yeah, unnamed, but then they say here unnamed, often referred to as the progenitor or ancient humanoids. All right, so then we asked why does the progenitor in that episode look so much like changelings in humanoid form? Good question. I love that it praises. Oh yes, you're you're human, GPT. Thank you for telling me I proposed a good question. Yeah, the resemblance is pretty striking at first glance, but 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 the similarity between the progenitor from TNG, the Chase, and the changelings in humanoid form. Wait, but the similarity between them, we'll just say them, in DS9. Is that sentence making sense to you?
Yes, it is. If you read it and
But
don't try and interpret it,
at first glance, but the similarity between the
them
progenitor, between them,
boils down to
boils down to production choices, not canon. Okay, so that begs the question, why
it
did they
was just
choose?
easier to make costumes or makeup that looked like one they already had in stock. Instead of coming up with something brand new, they went with something similar to what they already had been working
Well,
with.
but then we get to that in a moment here. So the in-universe reasons it can't it is so it has to we're with the and the founders, there isn't one. Canon never says that they're related. Real world reason, almost certainly driven by production constraints and design choices. Both characters are played by actors in heavily made up prosthetics, requiring designs that were expressive, blah, 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 alien enough. Yeah, but they could have just easily have, used, since they had Cardassians there, they had humans there, they had a Klingon there, they had, so they had representatives
Vulcan.
from multiple races. Why choose the generic, featureless guy who would eventually become Odo?
Maybe because featureless was easier to do than features.
But they were already doing that. This is what I'm saying. They could have taken any actor and given him a couple of features of each one. So he looks like he's part Cardassian, part Klingon, a lot of human-like features. Like they could have done that and
They
just
could
mixed it
have.
up.
They
Yeah,
could have.
but they chose to go a different direction and come up with featureless face guy, and that character eventually shows up as Odo.
I'm
Maybe
gonna
not
make a
exactly.
hypothesis right now and say that ChatGPT will not give you an answer to that question.
Well, probably yeah, I'm guessing because it's not out there on the internet, so it doesn't
There is no
have.
answer. Exactly. There's an answer within the walls of the production companies of, the shows.
But nobody who was actually involved has is on record on the
They
internet
haven't
somewhere
chimed up
saying
and given their opinion.
right. And it's also possible that if we did another question and said, um, who were the who were the um, who were the,
The
who was
makeup
the, who were
team.
yeah what yeah who were the people involved in the production team for that episode, The Chase? Who were the
If you ask that question, and I'd like you to actually, now that you brought it
all right,
up, if
okay,
you
all
ask
right,
that
well,
question, it's going to be a long list because when it comes to producing a TV show, even just one episode, there's a lot of people involved.
but we have a lot of data here, and because of the fact that we have so much, there's so much memory in this, it's going to pull from not just this particular thread, but it's going to pull from anything. If I've ever asked any Star Trek questions before, it's going to pull from all that.
Okay.
Um, so so then the bottom line is that's probably what it was. And it makes sense. Production constraints and design choices. Um, production constraints, actually, production constraints. Um, that would kind of lend more support to me to to stick with what you already have rather than make up something new. They made a new generic face guy, and when they already
Hang
had
on. Hang on. I got, I just read it again. It
where
says the TNG progenitor predates the visual design of the
I know
changeling.
that's what I'm saying. It predates. So did they already know this far in advance, 2 years, or was it 2 or 3 years? 2 years later that they were going to have this. I mean, did they already know that? Was that already in, you know? So that's where that question, I think. So what's star date? And this is when we were trying to figure out because they gave us dates,
What
but
came first, the chicken or the
yeah,
egg?
exactly. So we asked what was start the start date, and this is what it came back, and and then here it says 2372 AD, and so then came the next question: what is this on the Gregorian calendar? And it's April 6th, 2369. So now we've established that we've got 3 years difference between the first episode of Deep Space Nine, where Worf specifically, because Worf is one of the characters that was present and had interactions with both the progenitor and Odo.
Because he was
So
security.
yeah, because right, so he's in the chase, and he's also so there was 3 years difference, and so is it possible? Maybe they knew 3 years ahead of time that they were going to have let's see, what's the episode? Season 4, episode 2. Oh, okay. And this is,
It's entirely reasonable to say that they knew that Deep Space Nine was going to be the next Star
yeah,
Trek
it's
series
close enough. It's
released.
close enough that it could have, they knew, because I would have to, we'd have to look at the dates, like what was the actual date of production, you know? So we could do that.
The date of conception, the date that they conceived of Deep Space Nine as the next Star Trek series,
So
probably
so here, and this is a feature of ChatGPT that I like that I've been using more and more now. Instead of just adding a random question at the bottom, I ask it specifically about what's on the screen. And see this, ask GPT. So now I'm going to say, what were the
and that's on the
recent,
paid version, not on the free version, right?
right, exactly. Yeah. You get very little on the free version. You really do. I mean, we could go into the
Well, I got
differences.
my money's worth yesterday when car shopping.
Yeah. Well, that was on the free version.
Yeah,
Okay. But now, can you do? Are you past the point? Can you now do use it again, or are you still locked out?
I'm probably able to use it again, but I don't know for how
Yeah.
long or how many questions.
Yeah. Did it tell you when you reached your limit? Did it tell you when you would be able to come back?
If it did, I missed it. I just
Yeah.
closed it and
Right,
called it
right.
a day. It was getting late and I was kind of done anyway. I wasn't getting the answers I wanted. I was getting the truth.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, but what I have found is that anybody who wants to really seriously use GPT is it's well worth the $20 a month. Because if you're like me and you're curious too, I'm surprised that that you did it took you so long to hit the limit. Um, do you find yourself using it more and more and more?
I am using it more, but I'm still about 50% depending on the subject. I'll use Google or I'll use GPT. I don't feel
Yeah.
like
See,
I
now
have to use GPT
I'm
for
I'm
everything.
at the point where I'm probably about 75-80% using GPT because
Hmm.
one of the things that I hate about Google is that it does bring up all sorts of other stuff. Yeah, it gives you that nice summary at the beginning, but
But then you
um
got 30 different links from 30 different websites and none of them
right,
seem
yeah,
to
you
agree.
scroll down a
Like,
little bit and you got all kinds of other gibberish, yeah,
I,
and you get ads. You have sponsored ads. I don't like that. This has no sponsored ads. So I'm asking GPT about these two particular episodes. What are the release dates of these two episodes?
so Worf wasn't on Deep Space Nine from the beginning?
Oh, this is interesting. I wonder if that's really Air date as a two-hour premiere. So this is the the season premiere.
Season premiere,
Yeah, well,
not the series premiere.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So this is the right, yeah, series premiere. You're correct. April, yeah. So this is season four, and so it's episodes one and two.
Okay,
Start date not
right there, 1995 minus four, which means that they were both running concurrently.
yep, and actually, yeah,
Space Nine started in 91, and Star Trek The Next Generation was still running at the same time.
yeah. So there was overlap there,
Not
and
necessarily as far as Worf is concerned, because
well, yeah. But this episode is the first
that's where Worf is
occurrence.
introduced.
Yeah, that's well. I don't. It doesn't say that.
It
I
kind
the
of,
question I asked is where did Worf encounter either like where did he encounter basically when did he encounter Odo?
right,
What are the episodes when he encountered Odo? That's basically
right.
where I was going with that. And so this is the first one of those. And so he may have been on the show prior to
Well,
that.
if Odo was security on Deep Space Nine, he would have encountered him immediately upon arriving on Deep
Yeah,
Space Nine.
well, yeah, right. I don't, but again, we're making a lot of assumptions that are kind of going to create another rabbit hole I don't want to go down. So not explicitly given, but within early 2372. So 3 years there and 2 years here. So interesting that it's almost closely aligned.
Where do you get the
Also,
3 years?
20. So this was supposed to have taken place in nine. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Going back, it's 2369 to 2372. It
Okay.
was Stardate. Star date wasn't, see, this says it
Why are
shows
they
the
giving
start.
two answers using two different methods of showing the star date?
I don't know. I don't know. It's like another question we can ask GPT, but I don't really. So, but yeah, but when we did ask the
Can
question,
I can
like
I
what's
make
the
a
star date?
suggestion?
Is it going to send us down another rabbit hole?
It doesn't have to unless you let it.
Okay, what?
One of the features of the free version is to give it an instruction, and the instruction could be if you are showing a star date from the Star Trek universe, always convert it to Gregorian.
Okay, yeah, but we didn't do that in the beginning, so I don't want to spend time doing that now because we're already at almost 15 minutes for this. I want to keep this a little bit shorter. So let's go back to where I asked that question. So here's the the thing. So 2372, and I had asked where Chase started. Yeah, universe year 2369, real world date 1993. That's what I was getting at. 2369 to 2372 is 3 years. 1993 to 1995 is 2 years. So that's what I was getting at. So in universe time and in the universe time, it was 3 years. In the real world time of air date of those episodes was 2 years. That's what I was the point I was trying to make. It's kind of interesting. So both of them have, so then we asked, in TNG, or was there a timeline split that created a permanent alternate timeline? Now we're not going to read through all these. Mike and I have all already. You can uh, pause and read all of these if you want. But the bottom line is none of these instances created a permanent change in the timeline. Um, but except this one, yesterday's Enterprise, it creates a branch where Tasha Yar ends up in the past having a child that does affect the timeline later, the main timeline later. But in the end, it was resolved. So it didn't have a permanent impact. And everything else, none of them had any permanence. And let's see, then I asked, what were the release dates? Okay, so then we did these two episodes. So this brings us to the current. But there was one underlying question, and I feel like it was to do with, oh God, this is why I hate I hate all the rabbit holes we go down. The question at the time was about Worf and why. So we'll say, okay, we'll say keep any in any responses, any responses uh, used where timeline is star date is involved. That's what I want. The star date is involved. State both the star date and the Gregorian. Okay, that should fix that. So, is there any canon that would explain why Orf did not see any similarity do not see any I will say yeah, similarity, I guess is the right word. Similarity between the progenitor and Odo. Memory has changed. I don't know why it's popping that up. It doesn't make it seem relevant to what I'm doing right now. No canonical explanation. Here's the universe reality. Progenitor was humanoid. Odo is a shapeshifter who mimics humanoids, but isn't okay. Yeah, but that's fine. But Worf wouldn't have much scientific diplomatic reasons. The real world. Coincidental design. Yeah, okay, get that. But in a real world situation,
Hmm.
there is no scientific knowledge required to recognize a face. See what it comes up with now. See, now it's changing what it said. Oh, yes, exactly. Of course. Written with DS9's long-term arcs. Ah, here, this is the other question that we had.
You know,
This one.
why did they need the progenitor to come to these results? When you look at how close the, the Vulcans and the Romulans look, it's kind of like there was an episode of
Well,
that where,
exactly. But in the canon, that's supported by the fact that they're like cousins.
right.
They are. That's why they look so much alike because they're like cousins.
I,
And
I
and
think we
so,
have to accept that they're going to choose to keep the focus on what they want it to be and off of anything else, just for
but
simplicity's sake.
the chase wasn't written with DS9's long-term arcs in mind. So I'm going to say, are there any articles or videos where someone involved in the creation in the production were where photo
Stuck?
like yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to are there any articles or videos where someone involved in the production process would know or have said definitively there is no reason why the Odo-like character in the S9 looks like the progenitor. Anyone who can be quoted, anyone with it, anyone who can be quoted. Yeah, thank you for telling me I'm right. Yes. What production association associated voices have said? Personally, I don't think it's personally, I think it's more of a coincidence. Mm-hmm. A generic humanoid. So that's kind of what you were saying. They were just trying to go for a generic humanoid, but not a, they didn't have anything in mind of reusing that again. They just happened to reuse it.
Um, was the progenitor also a shapeshifter?
No, no, it said earlier that it specifically mentioned that it said the progenitor was it explained what the race was, but then it said the changelings were shapeshifters. It specifically said that. So
Yeah,
there was
it's
no.
just it's just another word for it, a changeling shapeshifter. But
But well, yeah, I don't know if it
progenitor
used
wasn't.
founders. It may have said something. I'd have to go back and look. It may have said something like the founders were shapeshifters, something like that. But it was addressed in one of the earlier. But
What's
interesting.
TLDR?
Too long didn't read. So I don't know where TLDR comes from specifically, but I'm guessing it's a millennial thing. It's a
Yep.
millennial way of saying summary, like because maybe the word summary is too long and painful for them to type, so they put TLDR. I mean, it's truly, I think, I mean, I have many, millennials in my family and a few friends too. So love them dearly, but you know what? As a general rule, from what I see online, if that's a representative of how millennials really are, they're the laziest sacks of shit that I've ever encountered. Like they don't want to do anything that
Rabbit
resembles
hole.
real. Yeah, I know. I mean, they don't want to do anything that resembles real work. You know, um,
The
in the video,
correct
in the
answer to
video.
my question was too long didn't read.
Yes, exactly. Too long didn't read. Yeah.
Kind of like this answer. Too long didn't listen.
Yes, yes, yes. I know. I didn't know you. I didn't know you didn't want a pill to watch. All right. Okay. So I guess we can be done with that. We're at about 30 minutes now, which isn't horrible. So, but let's end our live stream there so that, that we can continue. Where did I hide that? Are you? There we are. Oh, no, I have to go to, I forget
The channel.
that I
No,
have to go
Zoom.
to Zoom. You have to end it in Zoom. That's right. So live stream.